Go ahead.
Calling the meeting to order. We do a roll call.
Commissioner Dunn,
Present.
Commissioner Crosby,
Present.
Commissioner Havda,
Present.
Commissioner Carey is absent, Commissioner Workington,
Here.
and Commissioner Munns.
Present.
I guess we move right into citizen and community group comments first.
There are no visitors online and no one here wishes to speak.
Okay. So has everyone read the minutes from last meeting?
Yes.
Do we have a move to approve them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Main Street construction update.
So I'll let Dawn talk about uptown Main Street and then we can talk about, and then I'll talk about downtown Main Street.
Knife River, we just had a pre-con today with Knife River, the school district and city staff. Starting Monday, Knife River is gonna come in and start taking out some of the ADA ramps that need to be replaced. With any street reconstruction or grade or grind, we have to make all ADA ramps compliant. So they're gonna continue and fill in all the gaps all the way up Main Street. And then they're gonna start grinding and doing the soft spot digouts. Probably soft spot digouts are gonna be Monday through Thursday with not a full road closure. But when it comes to the street grind, we're gonna close Main Street down completely and it's gonna be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And there's gonna be detours to where everybody can go around. We're trying to work around the school schedule. We had talked about having them grind during the week and it just wasn't feasible with all the buses, all the parents. So we're hoping to have all of uptown Main Street pretty well done in like a 2-weekend period. So, and then all the ADA ramps and should be a pretty quick and easy project. That's it for that one.
Do
You
we
guys have
know
any
what
questions?
they're doing with the school buses on those days?
School buses, they're gonna so the only day that they're really gonna have a problem is Fridays and it's read days. So there's not as many students, all the buses will be running and they're gonna line them up to go different routes. None of them park on Main Street anyways. So it was the best case scenario. in
Yeah.
Everybody's opinion that we just work with Friday and they should be running on the back streets, Pierce and over on Broadway.
Good.
Do you have some sort of scheduling with the ramps, working with the schools and buses and?
The ramp shouldn't really have an impact on the schools. The ramp, he said, it's like a 3-day window. They're gonna do demolition and then form and pour in about 3 days. It's gonna be quick.
Great.
And they're doing Uptown First and I believe Uptown Fourth. So they're gonna do 4 at First Street. So there's gonna have to be alternate routes for people to go out into the road onto the crosswalk safely, and then same thing on 4th Street.
The ADA ramp project that's going on right now, stretched over to Main Street as well, but is mostly on Broadway. And so that's gonna tie in pretty nicely to,
It should,
those up.
all uptown should basically have brand new ADA ramps and compliant,
on Main,
So-
Main and Broadway.
Main and Broadway.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No.
All right. Hillway update?
Or actually, we'll go, that was Uptown Main Street and Elena's gonna talk about downtown Main Street.
Yeah. So I sent you a very large package with all of the links to the Main Street audio or the Main Street documents. So you should be able to see my screen now.
Mhm. Yep.
Great. Okay. This is the plan for the street improvements for downtown Main Street. You'll see it starting here at the highway and then just goes to the bottom of the hill. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look over these. It'll be just their regrading the sides. They're gonna leave most of the center, right?
That's what I understand is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll hopefully have a path down the center while they're doing construction. And then they're gonna improve all the ADA ramps and then the sidewalks. They'll install new lights and trees and tree wells. Put in electrical for those tree wells so that we can light them up like we do on Broadway. We already purchased the street furniture,
Yes,
the benches and
yep, benches, or not benches, we're gonna redo a bench. Garbage cans,
garbage cans.
bike racks.
Yeah, we found out that Don looked into just powder coating benches that were getting in, looking not so great anymore, and that's a feasible thing to do, so that will make them look nice, but save some money.
City council decided not to underground the power in this project because it was going to significantly increase the cost and the timeline. And the last estimate, undergrounding the power was going to be about 2.5. And here we have our most recent cost estimate, and it is about 1.56. So it saved us close to $1 million not undergrounding the power for that section of Main Street. Did you have a question?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
One was, any of the adjacent property owners going to be affected by this, or is it all going to happen just in the right of way?
I'm sure it'll impact like driveways and access to their buildings. The way the bid documents are written right now, and that was included in the email I sent over, it says they're going to do a block at a time. I don't know if that will be possible because I know that's something they tried to do when they did Broadway and it didn't end up working that way.
The other thing was, I noticed they're moving the the banner poles. Are those, what, can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, you
Banner
know,
pole relocation?
they're looking at moving them. I don't know if they are structurally able to, because right now that goes across Broadway. And
Right.
and that's a significantly farther length. So they're looking to see if they can move them if they're able to,
Now,
because it's going to be much further length. Plus, that means that we would have to shut down Main Street every time that we changed a banner, which is several times a year. It might not, that might not happen.
Can you tell me what the logic is behind even considering that?
Yeah, the banners that are right down here by the highway, basically we can't use those banner poles in the winter because of the way the wind whips through there. It just destroys. Even our local expert banner maker has tried to reinforce banners significantly, and it's not ideal. So they're not really usable in the wintertime. And so the idea was to potentially move it over to Main, because when we had a banner that went across Main Street, it didn't seem to be any problem. However, these poles, they span about, it's 25 or 30 feet maybe. And if it was going across Main Street, it would be 60-foot span. And so I don't know that they were engineered to take that, but
Probably not.
yeah. So they're probably going to end up staying where they're at. And if we want to put banners across Main Street, there's a kind of a banner system where it reels it up one pole and across. And so that you don't have to have people out in the street, you don't have to shut down traffic. I don't know if those work as well for hanging banners, but that's something that we could look at versus moving these, because these are usable in the summertime.
Just the one nearest the highway, that set is the one they're thinking about moving. The one by high school pharmacy would stay. It's not that one.
No, it would be the one along the highway. The way we do banners now is we shut down the road completely. We drop it. It takes about 5 to 6 minutes, and then we crank it back up. The problem with Main Street is there's so much traffic there. It would be really hard to shut traffic down come school time. We'd have to come in at special hours to even do the banner, or reroute traffic with a lot more traffic control. And it'd just be a headache everywhere around. And the one on the highway, we haven't had a blowout in a while. We've been a lot more cautious with how we put it up and when we put it up. So there's a banner up there right now, and it's been up there for over a month. And we've had some gusty winds come through, so as long as we're cautious with it and we know there's a windstorm coming, we take it down, it should be fine.
So it'd be a significant savings to be left in place, it looks like, was it $5,000 or $10,000? I can't
What was
remember.
it? I think it was 10,000 maybe to move it.
And I think
From
we're
remember.
trying to integrate banner attachments onto the streetlights, kind of like what Broadway has. So we can kind of bring that same feel, but keep it more business oriented.
I
But you're
see.
getting the same Broadway look, just functional
Great.
for everyone.
There's a couple of other things. I hate to take up too much time, but there's a number of things that don't appear in the budget, and maybe they show up somewhere else, but like the cost for project manager and design fees and contingency entries, and is that all someplace else?
Those are all in our engineering contract. So I don't remember what those numbers were exactly, but they did not include engineering or engineering, construction management during the project on this
Okay.
cost.
So those are in addition to what we're seeing here as the bottom line. Is that true?
Yeah, we've paid a significant portion. We've paid most of the engineering already through the design. So we've already paid a significant portion of that. They had a contract for that before I don't know, what has it been, 2 years?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Okay. Oh, and then one more thing. Does the percent for art apply to this project?
Typically, it doesn't apply to streets and infrastructure like that. We could consider just putting some art out there at some point anyway. Elena actually wanted to do street murals. We had several discussions about that for pedestrian safety and things like that. But yeah, there wouldn't be a requirement, even though we did art for Broadway.
Right.
We wouldn't be required to do it for just a street
Oh, that was
reconstruction.
just a gift.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So the preliminary schedule is here too. And they expect to have the street paving work done in May, which, knock on wood, would be great because that's before we end up with the summer tourist traffic. So fantastic.
Okay, now Hill Street.
Okay, Hillway.
Hillway.
Yeah,
update.
Hillway is another long-term project. The design, it's been in design since last summer, fall, and we were hoping to construct it this summer. There's a lot of permitting required because of the water. It's kind of a water runoff area, but it is a creek. I guess in the wintertime it's a creek. And so they submitted an application to the Department of State Lands and the Army Corps of Engineers in July of this year. They finally were able to get through the processes to get that submitted. There is a couple of requirements that came back, or requests that came back from those agencies. One is an archaeological review, and that is going to take a little more, that's a little more extensive. They said that that land has not been disturbed for about 130 years, according to their records. And so they want to make sure, what we're getting into. According to our engineer, that they'll be sending us a proposal for that work. And then once that gets going, it'll take about 2 months. They think if we don't find anything significant there during the review, then we would complete that work early in 2024. And so they anticipate having the whole project done by about this time next year, or maybe a little after, but fall of 2024. I feel like it's fall already, but I guess it's not quite. So fall of next year, they'll be able to get it done. They have to do the in-water work between July 15th and August 31st. And so that's where they get the pilings in and such. And then they can build the rest of it out. So we're still about a year out on that, but it is moving forward, and they're moving through the different types of requirements that they need for the permits. Any questions on that?
So what is the plan for crossing the creek? Is it just gonna be a culvert there? Or-
It is, I don't know if you know, Don.
Pretty sure it's box culverts.
It sounded like from here, from this, it would be they mentioned a culvert. Yeah, DSL requested additional information related to conformance of the proposed culvert bridge design. So
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
like
a
box.
bottom box culvert.
kind of like where Wade Creek goes in under the road by the
Mhm.
library. And so the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife have requirements for how that works. And that for the impacts on the creek. So they are in the thick of making sure that everything is done to the best, that, lowest impact on things.
You
Does
have
that
to put a
culvert
bus-
replace the one that's there now? Or is this an additional one?
For the culvert,
Hmm?
there is. I don't think like where the water comes under Cemetery Road, you mean there?
Yes,
I don't think we have to replace that.
I don't think so. I think what's on the school's property is what would be where the box culvert would be.
It should be a new one,
Yeah.
but
it'd
no
be-
replacement.
I think it might be
that road.
Two.
Two of them.
2 box culverts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think the creek followed the path where the street was supposed to go, though. I didn't.
The street's gonna,
I don't have
it
it.
does, it takes
It
it's hard to
comes
describe
down over-
without looking at it, but it does meander a little bit.
The creek does.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it takes 2 paths, and one of them was a drainage ditch for the school that we completely piped. And so it kind of goes around the property and then ties into Campanella's and then goes out by the bus bar.
And I thought the Wade Creek just follows kind of like that drainage ditch the whole time.
Wade Creek is out in front of this school.
Yep.
And so it's this is
For sure, yeah, no, Wade
yeah,
Creek, but
what's it? What is it?
Hillway.
Curran Creek? Or I don't,
It
It's-
probably is Current Creek.
it could be
It might be.
Curran Creek. It's pretty much drainage from the surrounding hills. That I don't even know exactly. I think if it goes down by the bus barn, goes along the old highway, cuts under and ends up down by River Mill Road where that hits the highway.
Mhm.
And I don't know where it goes from there. If it actually makes it all the way to the river, I don't know. But they are treating it as an actual creek that goes someplace, I guess.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to the TSP draft plan.
So the draft plan, we were hoping would be ready, but it's not quite ready. We'll be sending you the draft the week of September 25th. So you can expect that in your email. And we can schedule an additional meeting to discuss this if you want to, or you can add a couple more members to attend the stakeholder group. So that's up to you guys. What Denise is already on the stakeholder group, so it'd be 2 additional members. And you can also schedule one-on-one or small group meetings with staff to go through the materials and email your comments directly to staff. So you have a few options there. What would you guys like to do?
You want to schedule an extra meeting to go over that plan?
We could schedule it in October,
just for the TSP or for the septic? Just
just
Wait,
for the
what?
TSP.
okay.
Do you want to take a look at it first and and then if you feel like you need to get back together to discuss it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would work.
Okay, so I will, planning staff will send you the TSP the week of the draft TSP the week of September 25th. And then I can send you guys a little survey the next week to see if you guys want to have a meeting to discuss it, and we can work on scheduling that.
Okay.
The first week in October, we'll see about scheduling. Did you have something, Gary?
Nope, I was
Okay.
just agreeing.
Okay. Works for me then.
Is that it on that?
Yep, that's it on that.
Okay, update on the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, so you may have seen that council decided to keep it in the same vicinity as the current plant. That saves us a lot of time and a lot of money. I had included some just highlights from the preliminary plan that we submitted to DEQ in your packet, which shows you the site location that we're going to put it in, and a potential layout, the schedule we're looking at, and then the costs. And I think that the schedule is going to keep us on track here. We have a MAO with DEQ. And so we're on a really tight schedule with DEQ to make sure that we stick to that agreement. Because our current plant, it does not meet our permit guidelines for discharge, mostly ammonia.
I did have a question after pawing through that 172 pages.
Yeah.
One of the final things was the geotech report, and I'm wondering if that has been filed already or if that's still up in the air, because that could determine whether it's there or not site-wise. And if it hasn't been, do they have a plan B for some kind of a engineering solution so that they could still build there?
They have not completed the geotech. That's part of the portion that they're working on now. And I'm sure that they will be engineering it to fit in the location, or it might be moving it a little bit further depending on how it falls within that, on that same lot.
But they feel confident they can solve any problems that pop up.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, but
Okay.
what did you say initially that the plant is going to be at the original location we had planned on? Where
It's-
did you say?
The plant is gonna be, it'll take up part of Portal Park and it'll take up part of the Public Works shop. So
Okay.
it's going to be across the street from the current location. So towards the river.
Okay. Any other questions about that?
Does your public workshop, does it meet your guys' needs right now?
The area, yeah, we're planning on upgrading, but for the size and what we need, yeah, it does.
But like the facility itself and parking structures?
Yeah,
equipment, stuff like that?
I'm in the process of getting a new roof on the building itself. And then we're gonna remodel. And then I plan on within the next couple of years, building another shop for more storage, just for trailers and such. Besides that, I think we're big enough to supply. I mean, I could probably bring 3 or 4 more employees and still have enough room. It's just that it's the equipment. The more roads we get, the more houses that are built, the more equipment we need.
Well, and
And
your parks department's a lot bigger now as
Yeah.
well.
yeah, so but I think we have the room. We're slowly upgrading. It's a process.
I think my only suggestion on this would be try to look at why you have contractors there. And they're already doing the work, they're already doing the disruption. Maybe look at upgrading your facilities, your buildings, your storage to accommodate. And it's only gonna be more expensive if you wait to the future to do it later. So if you're got all that going on right now, you might as well try to look at that as well.
I'm thinking that we may need to rent some space for equipment I'm not sure how it, once the, like the contractor will need a lay down area. And if they're we might need to move some equipment to a different space during construction. But then we are gonna do a facilities plan as well to determine what we have, what's in good shape, what's not, what do we need for how much space do we need for the employees we have and looking ahead. But that is a good suggestion to consider while they're already out there to add on what we
Yeah,
need.
and one thing that we had talked about is, part of the project is the demolition of the current plant. And we just built this brand new building over our screw press that could be easily repurposed for parks equipment. And so instead of tearing that down or trying to move that building, leaving it there on the current site of the current plant to be used for parks.
Mhm. It would need to be screened. We would put some vegetative
Yeah.
screening around it, so it wouldn't be, you can't, I don't know that you notice it that much from the highway right now, but I think we could do some better screening. Or I kind of thought it'd be cool to put some kind of an image on the side of the building that you see when you're coming into town. Because I've seen places do that before too. If you can see it, it looks cool instead of just like a pole barn.
I'm very glad that you guys came up with this location over the other
Yeah.
ones out in Eagle Creek. I feel like this
Mhm.
is the best use of money, and I'm very thankful that you guys kept on, turning the gears there and making sure you're coming up with other options, because it just seemed like such a waste going all the way out there. So great job.
It was a nice scientific approach too, with the, thoughtful and a little more science involved instead of just emotions. So I'm glad to see that.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah, we did try to really exhaust all options for moving it out of here, thinking, 30 years down the road, what are they gonna wish that we had done? And so we tried really hard to find alternate locations. Even right up till the end, we didn't actually have them even review the public workshop and portal site until just a couple weeks before we brought it back to council, because we were trying so hard to move it out of that area. But it just, I guess it wasn't meant to be. And once the council decided that, yes, this is the best spot, it was such a relief of the time, the money, the certainty. Now we have certainty and we can move forward. And so I know it was a hard decision for them. But I think it's going to be great.
So then you can move on comfortably knowing you did the right thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any other comments? Okay, water conservation, water master plan.
Okay, so we are getting ready to update our water master plan. It will be updated this winter. We've received a $20,000 grant from Business Oregon to fund part of that. It's about a $50,000 project to go through and do all the study and engineering to update the water master plan. And so we have $20,000 that we've received in a grant, and we're applying for an additional $20,000 to support the seismic evaluation and recommendations that'll be needed regarding seismic structural stuff. So we'll also get that $20,000 grant, and that leaves about $10,000 for the city to fund. It will include a water conservation plan, and that is something that either of those grants they won't pay for that. And so the city would need to kick in some funds for that particular part of the study and the plan anyway. So it's working out well. Let's see, what else did I want to share with you about that? We did have, at the beginning of the summer, our water usage spiked. And it was a little disconcerting because we didn't know, it went from here to here. Is it going to just ride it out there for the summer, or is it going to continue to climb? But it did. It turned out to be it was pretty level at about 1.5 million gallons a day. And And so, and our plant is designed to run 2 million gallons a day right now. However, it's really only running it took 21 hours a day to run that, to produce that 1.5 million gallons. So that's about 80% maxed out. And then, so our engineer took a look at it, determined some things we could do to get it to actually produce the 2 million gallons a day, which would drop us back down to about 75% capacity, which gives us a little more, we feel a little more comfortable with that. In the wintertime, the production is around, I think, 500,000 or 600,000, maybe 7 at the most, in the wintertime when water usage is a lot lower. So it's just our summer months that we're concerned about. So we're doing the updating the master plan this winter, and then and working on bringing it to our full 2 million capacity that it's supposed to be running. And then in the next winter, hopefully we'll, because we can't do it in the summertime. So in the wintertime is when we have to make other upgrades to increase that. We only have 2.6 million gallons as a water right, so we can't increase it a lot. But it's still, that's quite a good buffer for right now. We're building an additional water reservoir that stores 500,000 gallons. So then we'd have 5 reservoirs, which that also gives us a buffer, because if people use a lot of water, pull the reservoirs down, part way, then they have, we have more time. Maybe we can't fill it back up in 24 hours, but we can say, hey, please watch your outdoor watering for a couple days. We're going to be recharging those. So that is the plan at this point. And I think that was all basically. Did I leave any details out?
As part of the water master plan update is going to be a water conservation plan, which will have like targets when it reaches a certain level. It'll have set actions that we'll agree to do. So, if it reaches 75 or 80% again, then other cities have done things like don't water the public parks, or they don't wash the public works vehicles. So they have different set actions that are triggered by reaching that kind of capacity level.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you're working with the HOAs. I noticed there's quite a bit of a conflict there as far as water conservation, that people get letters when their lawn starts to look a little brown.
Yeah, we reached out to the HOAs this summer, and some were more cooperative than others.
Yeah.
The water conservation plan would trigger things that would, because we can make requirements on the use of water that would impact those HOAs. So they can't require people to water their lawns if our water conservation plan says we reach this level, and that's one of our actions is no irrigation, so that's a kind of a step in requiring them. But right now we just asked for cooperation.
Any other comments, questions?
80% is very, very high.
Yeah.
That is very concerning. I would think you guys should, figure something out very, very fast, because there's only gonna be more homes,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of them that are coming.
And like your suggestions previously for turf lawn instead of actual natural lawn, those are great suggestions, because it's the outdoor water use that is driving this really. Each home internally only uses so much, really, no matter what time of the year. But once they start running water outside, which we don't, we could have done a curtailment, but I don't want to overreact. And we were running pretty steady. So we just let it go, but we will put this conservation plan into effect, and that will give us some, more pre-designated guidelines to where we call for restrictions. But we're also looking for ways to increase our water rights, and that's a little tricky on the Clackamas. There's no more water rights necessarily to be had. However, I think we mentioned it to them before that we're looking at getting some credit back for the water we do put back in the river that they could allow us to, where we put it back in. And that's another plus for building the wastewater plant where it is, because we're relatively close to the water plant comparatively speaking. And if we can, when we put water back in, if we can pull an extra 500,000 gallons out from there, that would bump us from 2.6 to 3.1, and that would give us a little more. Yeah,
Would you say was the wintertime consumptions like 500,000, 600,000?
It's like
Mhm.
0.6 to 0.7, somewhere in
Mhm.
that range.
Yeah, so in the summer, you're going through from that,
We're-
so you're adding like almost a million.
more
and a
than
half.
doubling it,
Yeah.
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 And that's keeping lawns green, right, basically.
Like, yeah,
Mhm.
lawns and gardens and,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
sidewalks, asphalt,
Yeah.
roofs.
Yeah, we try to watch that with, the watering that we do. And I know, I don't know, we try to get some messaging out about that too, so for people to watch, where if the water's running off your lawn onto the sidewalk, it's not being effective. So try to manage that. And some people are really observant, others they don't even think about it. So it's just really going to work on raising some awareness and.
What about instead of like the turf, doing something along the lines of promoting hardscape, hard structures, or, reimbursing to a certain extent, let's say you'll cover half the cost or, because ultimately that's gonna save you guys money as well. And
Mhm.
Part of, part of what we did when we reached out to the HOAs was promoted options for xeriscaping, right? It's that kind of low water usage landscaping. And there was a class at the library that was talking about ground cover options that are much more friendly. And we promoted that also. From at least one of the HOAs, people had approached them asking, because landscape plans had to be approved by the HOA, having these kind of plans, and they denied it. So we're also, having to overcome the same issue that we had with the landscape watering with the HOAs allowing them to change that from lawn to those kind of xeriscaping. I'm probably mispronouncing that word, but yeah. Options.
Which also brings up when developments are approved, to put into the conditions of approval what an HOA cannot require. And I don't know, I'm not sure how that, when you run down that bunny trail, what happens, but to try to control it ahead of time so that your people aren't going in, setting up an HOA and having all these requirements already in place, that we will have already addressed that with, when the development is being approved. Because I think if some people, it's really important to them to have a beautiful green lawn, and others, they'd rather save the money and they don't mind. It'll grow back in September. And so if it could kind of be like each person's individual choice, it probably wouldn't be as concerning. But when it's not and it's enforced in the large area, then we do have to be more restrictive about it. So.
even like rain barrels, stuff like that, again, trying to,
Mhm.
I mean, I just think 88%, like that's very close to an emergency situation, in my opinion. Like, I think if we operated that way, we would be, we'd be breaking out pretty
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're trying to stay under 50% on all of our facilities. And
Mhm.
so once we approach 50%, it's like, okay, hey, we need to make some pretty significant changes, and you're well past that. So
Mhm. Yeah.
I think a lot of it could be like a audit of some sort, where when the builder goes in and puts in the irrigation, they go back and teach them how to properly use a lot of people don't switch, once they put down that turf, it's like 7 times a day, 20 minutes each time, and they're running that for years and years and years, to where you don't need, they're using a lot more water than they should. And I think just some classes or some free seminars
Mhm.
just to teach about how to use your irrigation properly would be good.
what about like the HOAs, they all have to have those water retention ponds. And what about forcing them to use that water retention pond for their green space or for their irrigation or something like that.
A lot of the times those are dry during, like go out to Faraday right now, those are almost dry. The only water that's in there is most likely from their irrigation from their yards. Yeah, already, so
That's true.
that's the hard part with that.
Some creative thinking though
Yeah.
is good. Those ideas are,
Well,
Very
if
helpful.
it's lined,
Yeah,
if they're
Oh, yeah.
aligned or, bent knife or something like that, where it's not seeping into the ground.
yeah,
although that's kind of the purpose of the retainage ponds is to let it seep in.
Fair enough.
I don't,
Always.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or evaporate, it could evaporate, or they could use it.
Well, there's,
But yeah, so that will be happening this winter though, to update that master plan. And I know it makes Chris, our director, a little anxious also, same as you're saying, once you start getting, because it takes time to make those improvements to increase. So. we
I
will-
know several people though that do not know how to use their irrigation system. They're
Mhm,
pretty complicated.
mhm.
And I think a lot of people would benefit from someone showing them how to program it better.
Mhm.
yeah,
So, yeah, right now, anyone can sign up for a free landscape water audit through Clackamas River Water Providers, and they'll come out and they'll look at your irrigation system and look at the timing.
Yeah, I got a
And-
notice about that.
Yeah, so those are a great option that people can right now, and we did ask the HOAs to send that out to all of their residents.
Any
Yeah,
other
they-
comments?
They have product now that where you can get a controller that's, it's basically GPS. It's a smart controller to where it will adjust watering. If it's gonna rain and it knows it's raining, it
Yeah.
won't water that day, so you don't have to physically go out there and do it yourself. So there's alternatives out there, and it's a money saving thing all in itself. And they talk about that in that free irrigation audit. It's they came out and did all of our buildings and all of our parks,
Great.
so.
It ended up not being free for us.
No, it
But-
wasn't free, but it's already.
But it
paid for
was
itself.
worth it. It was worth it, and it is free for the
Yeah.
residential. Yeah, they do a good job. All right. Any other questions, Beth or Gary? Online, don't want to forget about you.
Nope, but I did want to compliment the staff and thank you for, this is a pile of work. And
Mhm.
you guys have really done a great job of putting it together and appreciate that.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the commissioner reports and comments. Do we have any? Gary, Beth, no?
Nope, just a thanks.
Nothing for me.
In that case, are we ready to adjourn or do you have anything to add?
Let's schedule the next meeting before we leave today.
Okay,
I am looking at December 14th, if we stay on the quarterly schedule. Does that look good on your calendars? December 14th at noon.
depends on how my shopping's going.
I can't believe in 3 months it will be December 14th.
I know.
It doesn't seem possible.
Crazy.
good with that day.
That works for me.
Good.
I won't be able to make that one.
Gary, how's that look on your calendar?
Just check, I'm working on that day,
Oh, okay.
Oh, working on that day.
but
Um,
I can probably rearrange that. I've got plenty of time to reschedule. So yeah, put me down for the 14th.
Okay, great. I'm gonna send out a calendar reminder for December 14th then at noon. Thank you
Okay.
all.
okay.
Anything else before we adjourn?
Nothing
Okay.
for me.
Meeting's adjourned.